Hello there, and welcome into a Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. My name is Drew Dougherty with Deepi, Sidhu, my good pal of Houston Texans media fame. It's great to be with you, Deepi. We're going to answer questions from fans all over the world, all over Houston, and we will take just about anything. So send them on in, send them in now, and we'll get to it. But we just heard from David Culley, the head coach of the Houston Texans, Deepi. Few little nuggets that came out of the press conference. Lonnie Johnson, no longer a safety. Now he is a cornerback, which is what he was drafted as originally out of Kentucky back in 2019. And the offensive line will be the same one we saw in Miami. So no Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. He's still rehabbing the hand injury, and he hasn't been able to lift weights. And no Justin Britt at center. So those are kind of the biggest takeaways I had from that Wednesday press conference with the media. What about you, Deepi? What do you think of the news we heard and any that I might have not told to the masses right now?
No, that's about what it is. I mean, we've heard David Culley talk a lot about Tyrod Taylor and needing to bounce back after the performance against Miami, but certainly that's not news since we've been talking about that since the bye week. But here we come back afterwards. And the news about Lonnie Johnson doesn't really come as a surprise. He didn't really play much against Miami. You didn't really know what was going on. But then Monday at practice, he was actually doing drills with the safeties, which I thought was pretty curious. John Harris and I were standing there and we thought, you know what, if maybe it's just one of those things they're working on something where it's a sort of a drill where you're combining safeties and cornerbacks. But there was a group of safeties and a group of cornerbacks, and Lonnie Johnson was working with the cornerback. So the news, not a total surprise for those of us that watch practice and cover the team, but it is surprising in the sense that sounds like it's a pretty definitive move. And we know that Lonnie Johnson, when he was drafted, he played corner. He seemed like a natural safety, and he seemed like he was sort of coming into his own, especially in camp. He had all those picks and takeaways. And, I think, it's something that he sat down with David Culley and they discussed. So feels like he's more comfortable at cornerback. We shall see as he moves forward. Doesn't get a lot of playing time, obviously, at safety or cornerback because here comes Eric Murray starting in at safety. So maybe Lonnie Johnson will get his chance if there's an injury or something moves around. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Drew. That's sort of the big takeaways for today, and the O-line as well, that it remains the same.
Yeah, and we've got questions coming in, and Alex has a really good one. It's, what's the most important thing the Texans need to do in the second half of the season? Well, the basic one is win. You want to see W's, but they've got to develop, and I would say get improvement from a lot of areas. Basically, every team or every position on the team can see some improvement, but you want to see these young guys that you think are going to be building blocks or could be building blocks continue to take steps and continue to progress. Now, Jonathan Grenard's been outstanding this year. He's been the best player on that side of the ball for the Texans, but you want to see continued improvement by some of these offensive linemen that you picked up, namely a guy like center Jimmy Morrissey. I mean, this guy's going to start again for the second week in a row, and he was not even with this club about 3-4 weeks ago. So names like that, Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, so on and so forth. So wins and development, I think, are the two biggest things. You got to get changes and things that the Texans need to do in the second stretch run.
Yeah, I think on offense, I just really think they want to work on sustaining drives. Obviously, it sounds pretty simple, to be able to convert third downs and get long drives and be able to score. I mean, they were 0 for 4 in the red zone against Miami, and it was such a struggle. And the defense really kept them in the game with all those takeaways, and they even had a few short fields, but they just couldn't find the end zone and they couldn't score. So that's something that needs to get fixed immediately, especially because it's been 16 quarters since the Texans have scored a touchdown on the road. So that's the most immediate need, is for them to be able to get that offense going again, get it clicking again. And we heard from Chris Conley on Monday, who said that there's things at the receiving group as a whole, that includes tight ends, that includes all the pass catchers, things that they can do to sort of help with their timing, and Tyrod Taylor to sort of get him back on track. They can all sort of get things back on track. But I think it's really more dire for the offense to sort of get things going again.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good one you bring up. I like that, because sustaining drives is something they've not been good at. Like you mentioned, 16 quarters, that's an eternity on the road that they've not found the end zone. That's got to change. Jordan has one. Will we see Davis Mills under center again? I think you will. I don't know when it's going to be. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter at Tennessee. David Culley reaffirmed that this morning. But I do think you're going to see Davis play some more, maybe later on in the season. Can't give you a time frame. Can't tell you a certain date, but it would make sense to me that he gets back out there, whether it's because of injury, whether it's because of something else happening. I do think you will see Davis Mills play some more quarterback for the Texans. What about you, Deepi?
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe late in the season. I mean, you sort of know where the season's headed at this point, but maybe you just want to see a little bit more of what you get from him. He's got a few more games he can learn under Tyrod, and then you bring him back out there and see, where he is and how he's doing and how he's able to lead that offense. So see if anything's changed from the first go around for Davis Mills. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back out there now.
Mm-hmm. Frank has a good one. It's kind of about the mechanics of what we've just gone through over the last week. What did the Texans do during the bye week? Well, in the early part of it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, partly into Thursday, the coaches did a lot of self-scouting, self-evaluating. Like, what are we doing wrong? What do we need to tweak? What have we not looked at that other teams are keying in on? So they did a lot of that. A lot of the players, after getting treatments and whatnot, took a little bit of time to sort of recharge and all that. But for the most part, it's not like these guys just go sit around and lay around all week. They stay in shape, they stay active, and they do some stuff, but they're not necessarily going through all the rigors of a game week where you're preparing for an opponent. So they were kind of recharging to a degree, but still staying fresh, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's more of a physical break, not so much a mental break, although they probably had a little bit of a mental break too, just sort of get away from football. But a lot of them were watching film. There was a lot of self-scouting. It is, like you're saying, a time for the body to rest and recharge, and for everyone to sort of self-scout things that they could do differently in the second half, things that they saw that they did well in the first half that they want to do more of. David Culley talked about certain runs that he really liked in the first half of the season. He said they want to do more of those in the second half, sort of get the run game going. So there was a lot of self-evaluation, self-scouting, a little bit of rest as well. So everyone comes back refreshed and ready to go for the second half of the season.
Maddie has a great question. What do the Texans need to do to beat the Titans? Well, one of the first things is Deepi's already hit on it. They've got to sustain drives and get in the end zone. The Texans must score at least 3 touchdowns. Okay. They've got to score 3 touchdowns minimum for a W this weekend. Another thing they need to do is get at least 2 to 3 more takeaways than the Titans. So if they turn the ball over 2 times, they've got to get, I would think, 4 takeaways or 5 takeaways. I know that's asking a lot, but I think that's got to be the recipe because, Deepi, I do that little exercise each week where I send you, Mark, John, and I an email, and it's what do the Texans do this week in turnover differential? And it's kind of become a joke at this point. It's like my weird little fetish, so to speak. But the Texans can't win unless they're plus 2 or more in turnover differential. They've got to do that to win. So those are my little keys. What about you?
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that Ryan Tannehill, I mean, obviously that offense without Derrick Henry, I mean, they're finding ways to win games, but it's really because of the defense. That offense, it seems like, could be a little bit of an Achilles heel. I was looking at Ryan Tannehill's numbers. He's been sacked 29 times. And I think that's a lot for a veteran. So I think if this defense, one thing that they do well is they get pressure up front. They make quarterbacks uncomfortable. If they can continue to do that and keep the Titans offense off the field and like you're saying, sustain drives and keep their offense on the field, maybe that'll yield a big win, and it would be a big win on the road. The Titans have won 6 in a row. The Texans have lost 8 in a row. So one of those streaks, if they can snap one of those, that'd be a big win for the Texans.
It'd be nice. It's fun to beat the Titans. Haven't done that in a while, but yeah, we haven't done that since 2019 in December on the road in Tennessee. Remember that? That was a fun one.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Texans were coming off a loss to the Broncos, I believe. Titans were rolling, and Houston went in there and took a 14-0 lead, held on, and that kind of sewed up the division title because the next week they clinched in Tampa Bay. That was fun. Good times, a long time ago. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Water Break Wednesday presented by Crown Royal. We appreciate all of you sending in questions. If yours was not answered, please send in one, and I'll try to get it answered on a Dear Drew in the next day or so. But Deepi, Deepi and I love doing this, and we love hearing from you. For Tyler Marcotte, for Amanda Caffey behind the scenes making this happen, we will see you again. Until next time, go Texans.